Okay, hey, terrific. It's really nice to be here. So thanks for inviting me. Um, so I am a Mac.
Christian, could you unmute yourself?
Hello there. That works.
Yeah,
Ta-da.
yeah, thank you.
So thanks for the introduction. And I am a Mac consultant from way back, uh, even when I was doing it without getting paid, just because I wanted to help people learn about the Mac. This goes way back to maybe a year after the Mac first came out. So I used to be a rocket scientist. That was my job, but I like this more. So of course, when the iPhone came out, I had to buy one of those so I could learn about that. And so now it's Macs and iPhones all the time. And really, my focus is teaching people things and not so much troubleshooting or what you might call traditional IT work. It's really about teaching. So that's what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna talk about Safari on the Mac today, and there's a handout. I hope you got it. There was some way Mike said he could get a handout out to people.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. So let's go. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I'm going to be referring to the handout too. I'm going to work through that in pretty much in order. Okay, let's see. Let's do this. I'm going to do a couple things before we get started. I'm going to first of all turn on Do Not Disturb so we don't get bothered. So let's do that. So I'll say, there you go. Takes care of that. All right, and then I got one more thing to do. There we go. Okay. So the other thing I want to do is I'm going to make my cursor bigger so you can see things. So I'm going to put Safari over here in the middle screen. So here's Safari, and this is the start screen for Safari. And we're going to use today. This is Monterey. This is as new as it gets. If you caught me next month, we might be doing Ventura, but this is Monterey. So one other thing I'm going to do, and the reason I'm waiting to do this while you're watching is you might want to do this yourself. I'm going to System Preferences. I'm going to make the cursor bigger so you can see it better because you are a long way away. The way we do that is we go to Accessibility, we go to Display, and we go up here to Pointer, and in there I can make the pointer a little bigger. So I'm going to make it bigger like this. The action is still on the tip, but hopefully you can see this better. And I've made the outline of it green so it shows up better against most things. Okay, so look, here's Safari. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to work through this handout. The first part is about getting set up properly. There is a lot to know about setting up Safari so it works best for you. So underneath the view menu here, you've got things like this. Always show the tab bar. You probably do want to have the tab bar showing because you're going to have multiple tabs. So I like to have this option here, and that's just to show the name of the tab you're on right here. There are a lot of other things you can do in this view menu, but that's what we're going to do right now, the main thing. But now let's look at some of the preferences. Okay, so hopefully you've seen Safari before and you've looked at these preferences before, but there is a lot to them. So when you first start Safari, what is it going to do? Well, it's going to open up a new window. Well, that's what I'm doing. And so some people would have it open all the windows from last time, but I'm just going to have it open a new window. But then when new windows open, what do? Well, I've told it that new windows open up the start page. And so this thing you're looking at here, this is the start page. And there's some people never use this at all, but it'd be worth looking at this. For example, these favorites here are these favorites across here in the favorites bar. Now that's another thing that might not be showing if the favorites bar is hidden like this, it disappears, but these are still the same things. I like to see them, so I'm going to show them again. So this part of the start page is actually very useful because I can go places and like here, if I want to do this Python tutorial, I just go there and I'm going to go back and here we are again. Okay, now if we scroll down here, we start seeing pages I've been to a lot lately, and that's fine. And then these are websites that have been shared with me through text messages. My mom has sent me a picture of a bird every day for the last 3 or 4 years, and there they are. I could go to those, but this is the part I really wanted to show you, is right down here. This is Icloud Tabs. So sometimes you're doing work on your iPhone or your iPad, and now you're on your Mac, and you want to go see one of those pages that you were looking at on your iPad. Well, if I wanted to look at this regex tutorial down here, I could just click it, and this is the same page I was looking at on my iPad. So very, very handy, so that you can view things on whichever device is convenient. And if you want to see what's on your phone, you would go here. I could switch to what I've looked at on my phone lately too. Okay, so I had to make plane reservations yesterday, so there that is. And here's something I had to look at the other day. So it's just nice to see what's on those other devices. These are things that are open on the other device. All right, so there you go. So that's Icloud Tabs, and that's a really handy feature here in this start page. I'm gonna go down here a little bit further, and at the bottom you see there's preferences here. When you hit these preferences, you can show what you want to see. You can say, well, I don't need to see the privacy report, so I could just uncheck this and it just disappears. And I don't need to see the reading list, maybe that goes away. So these are and these Icloud Tabs, if I didn't care about what I'm doing on my iPhone or my iPad, you can turn that off, but I like it. So there you go. So that's, I think, enough of these preferences. Just except for one more thing. Let's look at these preferences again. So when I make a new window, it goes to the start page. When I make a new tab, it goes to the home page. But I haven't set a home page. I'm gonna set a home page now. I'm gonna make it be apple.com. Okay, so that means if I open a new tab up here with this plus, that's the Apple page. So I don't mind starting there. I have to look at this page a lot every day anyway, so that seems like an okay one. But the point is that there's quite a difference between your new page and new tab. So just know about this. In a way, you can kind of leverage this and do you can do different things. In a way, you have two home pages if you're careful about it. Okay, now let's look at the tabs section here. I'm not going to go all the way across here, but I am going to do the first, 3 out of 4. Okay, when you look at the tabs here at the top, this is just a matter of personal preference, how you like the tabs to lay out. This is the normal way. This is the new compact way. You can just play with that. But now here, when you open a new web page, I'm saying I want to make a tab. So how does that work? Well, let's say we did a Google search. I'm going to do a search up here. I'm going to look for some lunch. I'm going to look for Mexican food near me. Okay. Now, when I click this link, because we've said here that pages open in tabs instead of windows, well, you'll see what happens here, especially this part where I say command click opens a new tab. Hold down the command key, I'm gonna click here, and I should get another tab if I hit it right. Be nice if this worked. Well, what do you know? Didn't work. Let's try this one here. There we go. So I'm opening up these restaurants like this. So I'm holding down the command key while I click, and because I've got this section here, I'm not annotating it, sorry. Let me draw a box for you. Okay, now we're gonna get somewhere. Okay, so because I did this here, when I command click, I was going to a new tab rather than this going to that page. I mean, if I click like this, it just goes there, right? And that's fine, but then there's a lot of back and forth. But if you're holding down the command key when you click on a link, it just makes another tab, and now I can flip through these like this, nice and quick, and it keeps my search page open. So generally when I'm searching for something, it's going to take a couple of tries before I find the right page. So I'm probably going to hold down the command key and hit a whole bunch of sites like this, get all these tabs going. Now, if we went back here and looked at this compact tab thing, you see I've got the tabs here. Here's my tabs, right? Well, if I were to choose this option here to the compact way, you see how they've done it. The tabs have now jumped up to the top. They're up here. Yeah. Not as handy for me. I think they're better. I think they're better down below. So I'm going to go back to this option. Okay, so that's nice. And so now I can just easily flip through these things, and of course I can close any one of them with a little close box for each one. All right, so that takes care of that section. Now let's talk about the toolbar. So this area across the top, which I'm going to draw again, all of this from here to here, this is all toolbar, and the toolbar can be customized. And so you should customize it. And the way you do it is by going up here and saying, I usually do it from a keyboard shortcut, but we say customize toolbar. When you do, you get all these tools that you might want to use. Now, ones that I like a lot, well, I'll show you the standard ones. This is, if I drag the default set back up here, you'll see what it looks like. So I can just drag it up, and this is, did I do it? Yes, I did. Here's a default set. It doesn't look so good. I mean, it's got a few extensions here, but I can go forward and back. I've got a sharing button here, new tab button here, but that's it. That's not very, very good. What I like is if you go here again to customize toolbar, I like to have buttons like here, these zoom buttons. I'll put these up here to make things bigger and smaller. That's a good one. And I like to have the Icloud Tabs button up here so I can click on that when I need them. And I like to have the autofill button here. I'll park this over here where I used to have it. And you can even have, if you want, you can have a print button too. So I'll put this print button up here. Okay. So now we've done this. This is nice because now if I go to, say, let's say I just want to make this stuff bigger or smaller, I've got this A here. I can just click it and make it bigger and make it smaller, smaller, smaller. Now, of course, there's other ways to do that. You could have done it here. You could have made, it would zoom in, Command plus and Command minus, right? Those would have worked. And that's probably what I do most of the time. And you also could have actually selected this here as opposed to the keyboard shortcuts. But this way, especially for people who maybe don't do that a lot, when you see these buttons up here, it does sort of remind you that there's these options. So I like doing that. So if you're taking care of a Mac for maybe somebody else and they're not as sophisticated a user as you are, then maybe you would set up these buttons for them. And these extensions, we're going to get into the extensions in a little while. They all do something different. This is a password one. This is a ad blocker called Wiper. All right, so we'll get to that. Okay, let's look at our next page. This is really where we're getting into the meat of it. Let's talk about improving the reading experience. I'm going to go to ESPN and I'm going to read an article here. So let's see. Here's the main ESPN, and I'm going to pick an article. So if your page is wide like this, they're going to put stuff down the left-hand side like this. And if you don't have an ad blocker, I'm gonna turn the ad blocker off here, and you'll see. Let me turn off the ad blocker. Oh, it is off. Okay. So, yeah, here's an ad. It's not a great way to read stuff because the only part I care about is this section sort of in the middle where the article is. And there's all this clutter on the left. I keep running into ads and things, and I'd like to make the font bigger, and there's a lot of things I like to do. I don't need all this mess. So how do we do this better? Well, one way you can do it is realize that the page is going to possibly redraw if you make the window smaller. So I'm going to make the window smaller here. I'm just pulling it over, and all of a sudden it snaps. So that got rid of the stuff on the left. So you should, it's tempting. People like to do this. They like to make the window as wide as they can. It really doesn't get you anything. It doesn't make this any easier to read, and it just gives more room for ads. So we're not going to do that. Okay, we're going to make this skinnier again. All right, that's one way to do it. But another way to make things better, if you just like to read, of course, we still have our option to, I'm going to move this down a little bit so I can see my toolbar. We still have the option to make the text bigger. That's nice. I can still do that. So here's this article here. I'm going to make this bigger so I can read it. Okay, that's nice. But let's say every time I come in here to ESPN, I want to make it bigger. Well, all right. Let's see about that. If I go to the Safari menu, if this is just the typical thing is that I want to make everything on Safari on this site bigger. Under Safari, we're going to have settings for the particular site you're on. Doesn't matter which site you're on. You're going to see settings for. And this isn't under File where you think it might be. It's under Safari. And so instead of being an overall setting, it's a setting per website. So I'm going to use this now, and we see some options. I'm going to say every time I come into Safari, into ESPN, let's say I want it always to be, let's say we always want it to be 200% when I come in here. Let's do that. And I'm going to leave it at that, but you can see there's some other interesting options here, which I'm going to get to. So now, if I close this up, if I went back and made a new window, and if I went to, I'm going to go to a different site. I'm going to start by going to Apple. So you can see this isn't big. This text is small, right? There's nothing big here at all. But if I go to ESPN, you'll see that it's all blown up here. And so you can see that this is quite a bit bigger on a site-by-site basis. So that's really quite nice. Now, I would also like, come to think of it, when I come to ESPN, I would like to hide the ads. We have two ways to hide the ads. If you look at your handout, the first way I want to show you is called the reader view. When you use the reader view, you can go up to view, and you can say show reader, and you get something like this. This is very plain. This is just the article. But look at that. You can really read this in a hurry. So that's the reader view. That's nice. Okay, I'm going to undo the reader view. I'm going to undo it the way that I came in. I'm going to say hide reader. Now another way you can do it, and that hides the ads. It hides all the malarkey. Okay, it's much smoother and nicer. Instead of doing show reader, you can do Command Shift R. That'll work. Shortcut, good shortcut. I'll do Command Shift R and turn that off again. Easiest way, a lot of times, is right here. If I point to this little icon, that goes straight to reader view. And in fact, while we're in there, if I click on that, again, it goes away. But if I click and I hold, we have preferences for reader view, in which, well, we're not going to do those preferences. So I'm going to come over here to these double A's, and here I can say, look, here's what I want. When I come to this website, I want it to be reader view, yes. And I want it to be, I'll make it be this font, and I'll make it on a white background. And that's that. Okay, so I have all these choices that I can make. So that means that every time I come to ESPN from now on, if I looked here, let's just double check. I'm going to say use reader when it's available. Okay, so this is great. So now, finally, when we, if we start over, I'm gonna quit Safari altogether. These settings are remembered on a permanent basis. So I'm gonna look here. We're gonna go back to ESPN, And then of course I'm not going to type the whole thing. I'll type ES. I can see it's correct. I'll just hit return. When I look at this article, it should magically turn into reader view if it can, as I think I told it to. I told it to use reader when available. Well, okay, it wasn't available right there. Yes, they couldn't do it. Well, would have been nice if it worked. It worked a minute ago. Let me try this again. Gee, it should show me the reader view. Where'd it go? Here it is, show reader. Okay, well, it would have been nice if it did what I told it would do, but I'm going to show you another example where it does do it. I'm going to go to Los Angeles Times. So LA Times, this page is full of junk, full of ads. First of all, I'm going to tell it in these settings to block what it can, and I'm going to say use reader view when you can too. So what'll happen there is, if I click this link, hopefully, there's the reader view. Okay, that's nice. So use a reader view is what it boils down to. If you want to read, if that's what you want to do, the reader view is great. The links are still there, and they only do it when it's very clear what the story is that you're trying to view. Like here, you can't use a reader view because there's three or four or five stories here, right? So you can't do that. Okay, let's talk about ad blocking. We're going to use the best ad blocker around is the one that's called Wiper. Okay, so if we look at Wiper, this one, what's nice about this one is you pay for it once, and that's it. I think it's $2.99, and they basically stop almost everything. Not quite everything, but almost everything. I'm going to show you an example of a page with Wiper and without Wiper. So let me look at the New York Times. Okay, like the whole top half here is an ad. Look, that's an ad. Here's a big ad right in the middle. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, look, on the New York Times, I'm going to say, well, you know what? It's not working. That's interesting. Maybe my Wiper needs an update. Well, that's not working the way it's supposed to work. Wiper is supposed to hide all this junk, and it's not doing it. So, oh, there it is. Yeah, so now the top is gone. See, it redrew, and the top is no longer there. So anyway, if you want a web browser or web ad blocker, I would get Wiper, even though at this moment it doesn't seem to be doing the perfect job. The ad guys are getting smarter, but this is what I would use. All right, let's see what else we have here for us. Let's talk about searching. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about how not to do things. Here's what happens a lot. I know that none of you ever do this, but some of your friends might. So we want to educate your friends. Here's what some people do. They'll think, okay, I want to go to a website. I want to go to apple.com. So what they'll do is first they'll go to Google. They'll have a bookmark for Google. They'll go like this. They'll come here. They'll go to Apple. They'll hit return. They'll have a whole bunch of links here, and they'll see, okay, I'll go to this one. That's a long way to go, guys, right? That's terrible. So what you really ought to do, let's close that up, and we'll just make ourselves a new page. Of course, what you would do is you would recognize that this up here is not only, it's both a search box and it's a URL address box. So if I typed Apple, you can see it's already put in apple.com. Why don't I just hit return and just go straight there? Okay, so that's way better. And one of the reasons it's better is because there's a lot of scammers out there. If you, I'm gonna go to google.com just for laughs, even though I'm doing it the hard way. Suppose you're looking for something like, I'm gonna say Epson printer support, okay? All right, suppose you do something like this. This is, you think, oh, this is what I want the phone number. Okay, now, first thing you see here is an ad. This is not Epson, okay? And this is not Epson. And this might be, but this one is, but this one's not, right? And this one's not. and so on, and this one's not, and this one's not. And so you don't exactly know where you're going when you look for something that way. If you really want Epson printer support, you should just go to epson.com and take it from there, because I've gone directly there, so it's safer. There's a lot of scams that are set up to try to get you to click that ad and end up in the wrong place. So don't do that. So if you want to go somewhere and you know the address, just type it in, and once you see the address, hit return and just go there. All right. So you don't have to type the whole address. That takes forever. All right. Now I want to show you though that this box up here, turns out this actually is a search box. So if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to find a Mac expert in Los Angeles, what do you know? If you did that, it's a search. It just did a Google search. So how'd that work? Well, oh, looky here. Here's a guy. I can vouch for this guy. But it did a Google search without you going to Google. So how did that work? Well, if you look back at your preferences, if we look at the search section, we get to choose who our search engine is going to be. I chose Google, but you could just as well pick DuckDuckGo or Bing or Yahoo or this other one, I don't know. Whichever one you pick is the one that's going to be used when you do your searches up in that bar. So I'm gonna pick Bing here just for laughs. So let's make a new page and let's do the same thing. So here I'm going to take this page. I'm going to search for best Mac experts in Los Angeles. And you see it to the right of it, it says it's going to search Bing. Okay. So I do that, and sure enough, that's Bing. And you can see it's Bing because over here, it says Bing, okay? So this is up to you. This is a matter of personal preference here. But the part that shouldn't be personal preference is you shouldn't be choosing to do it the hard way. The easy way is just type your stuff in the box up here and hit return, okay? All right, and in fact, when you start typing it, you see again, I'm gonna say iPhone expert. You can see to the right, it's saying it's gonna search Google. So you hit return and sure enough, it goes. So now, that's all very interesting, but you can do a lot of other interesting stuff up there too, because this is not just the two things we just talked about. It's not just a Google search bar or a Bing search bar. It's not just an address bar where you type in a URL. It's also it's what they call a smart search bar. So I can type things in this box and it knows what I'm doing before I even finish doing it. So out here we've got the Los Angeles Dodgers. They play baseball. And so I'm going to type Dodgers in here. And they show me, I didn't even hit return, but you can see here they're telling me the Dodgers play the Mets today at 4:10. They play tomorrow at 1:10. Okay, so this is without typing anything. Okay, so I'll type in, since I'm here in Santa Monica, I'm just going to put in weather. And if I get, let's see, I'll type Santa Monica weather. Let's do that. So I typed the W, I didn't even finish, and it's got my weather. So this is better than typing in Santa Monica weather, hitting return, and then choosing one of the items out of the search results. The results are right there already. So next time you want to do a search, just try watching up there as you type and see what you get. Now I'm going to try, oh look, is that about right for the weather? Seem about right to you? 64 degrees?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, now I hope this is not too small for you. If it's been too small, tell me, I'll make it bigger. Is it big enough? You can see? Good? Okay, I'm gonna say thumbs up. All right, so you can get a lot of good results there. You can even do stock symbols. If you just did APPL and a space, they know that you can see that Apple's down almost a point. You could also have written Apple stock like this. There it is. So it's really, really, really smart. So try try typing stuff in there and see how smart it is. Okay, now I'm going to do a search again. So here we've done a search for iPhone Expert, and we're seeing a bunch of items here. And I'm gonna scroll down here and say, let's look at I'll look at this one. I'll look at these guys here. And then, of course, I could go back right now. If I want to go back to the search results, I can just go back. Now, this is not the way I normally do it. Normally, I would hold down the Command key and click and just open up a bunch of links real quick. But suppose you do something like this, and you start reading, and maybe you go down kind of a rabbit hole here, and you start clicking more and more links. Let's see if I have. So I'll look at this, and I'll look. Maybe I'll look at this, and all of a sudden you say, "Gee, I wish I could get back to my search. I don't want to have to do this search again." Well, you can return under history. You can say, "Well, it'd be nice if I go to the search results. They were actually in this tab. It's a tab by tab thing, but I can do like this. Search results takes me right back to where I was. So if you go too far down the rabbit hole and you want to get back to the search results, it should be here. I still think it's faster to do it like this. Hold down Command and open up a bunch of tabs like this. You see I've opened them up in here. And now I can easily flip through them, and I know I've preserved the search here in the first tab. All right, now let's say you go to a web page and you find something with a lot of text on it, and you're looking for something very particular about that text. So I'm going to look here. I want to read the Magna Carta. Been a while. Okay, so here's the Magna Carta, and long article, right? Now this one might be nice in the reader view. I could click here, and now it's a little easier to read because it's bigger. Okay, eventually get past all this junk here. So here it is. All right, so let's say though that you see how long this web page is. Goodness gracious, right? And you know that somewhere in there, they're going to talk about King Henry. So I don't want to read the whole thing to find it. Now you may have just found it by eye, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do Command F, like you would do for almost a find on almost any other find you're trying to do. I'm going to hold down the Command key. I'm going to type the letter F, and there's a little box up there. You see my little bitty box here. So I'm going to put in Henry, and they found the first Henry here, right there. Now, these arrows up here will let me go to the next Henry. There's a Henry. Here's a Henry. So really quickly, I can get through this and find the stuff that I was looking for because I can search within a web page. So that's going to save you a lot of time when you're reading something that's fairly long and you don't want to have to search. I mean, for me, it happens a lot where I'm reading an article and they mention someone's name and I forget, who is this guy? And I want to go back to the top and find it. I can just do a Command F. You can also hit return and it'll keep jumping through those things. So if you don't want to use the arrow key up here, you don't have to. When you're done, you're done. So say you're done. Okay, so that was a fun one. So let's see what else we've got for you now. Bookmarks. Let's talk about bookmarks and history and tabs. Okay, I'm gonna close up this web page here, the whole page, this whole window, and I'm gonna make a new window here. And I'm gonna go look at some Mac websites that I personally read most every day. So I'm gonna I like Mac Rumors here. Okay, so if you're not reading Mac Rumors, I think it's one of the best. And I'm gonna hit this plus over here to make us a new tab. And in this tab, I'm gonna put in Macintosh. Pretty good one. Was better once, but it's still okay. And I'm gonna hit another tab. I'm gonna put in. I don't want to just go to Apple. I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna search for the Apple Newsroom, and it looks like I found it. So that's my third one, because this is where Apple puts their news releases. So that's nice, not just the Apple page. And now I'm gonna hit another tab, and I'm gonna go to. I think I'm gonna go to Daring Fireball, another good web page. Now, what I want to do, of course, for any one of these pages, I could come up here and say I want a bookmark. I could come here and say add a bookmark. Of course, I could do that. And if I did, I get a chance to name it. Usually the name is correct. Sometimes you want to shorten it. And I can add it to wherever I want. I can add it to, say, the favorites. Well, the favorites means it's going to be across the top here. Now, unfortunately, the top is filled up, so it's going to cascade off the end. But for now, if I just make that one favorite, I've done it. And if this page is closed and later I want to go there, here's this long list of favorites. And unfortunately, it's at the end, which means it's really not that handy. There it is though, right? So I could then go back to Daring Fireball. Great. But we're not going to do it like that. What we're going to do is I know, if I'm making a bookmark today, it's because I want it, today and going forward. So I'm going to go here and edit the bookmarks. So here's my favorites. So this section here is this section here, and you can see they're in order. And so way down here, way down here is the end of my favorites. Here it is. Here's Daring Fireball. I'm gonna drag this up. So I'm gonna just click it and drag it. You can see where it's gonna go. That little bar is showing us where it's gonna go. I'm gonna put it way up here toward the top. I'm gonna put it right here. So now it's right there. Okay. So now I'll just close that up. If we had a new web page, new window, and I wanted to go to that page, I can just click here and away I go. Now I might, because these things are getting kind of long, I might shorten some of these so I can fit more of them on the page. So like this one's so long, they had to put ... in it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to click on this. And now I'm going to rename it. And I can rename it. I'm just going to call this Regx tutorial. So it takes less room. I'm not changing the where it goes. If we look here, we didn't edit the address. If you wanted to, you could, but the address is just right. So here I can just jump there. Works just as well, but it gave us some room for another bookmark to show up in the favorites bar. So generally you want to keep these things short. However, sometimes what you want to do is even more than this. I'm going to control click on this. Oh, if I change my mind, if I decide that something else is more important, like maybe this one, I can just click it and drag it right here in the bar. I can put this over here. All right, well, so that's nice. But what I'm really going to do is I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to hold down the control key here, and I'm going to delete it because I'm going to open this up in a different way. So I'm going to open up those 4 tabs again, and this one's going to be Apple Newsroom. Apple News, and you can see the address is there. I'm gonna make another tab. This tab is going to be Mac Rumors, and this last tab is going to be Macintosh. So rather than make a bookmark for each one of them and take up all this room on the favorites bar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to Bookmarks, and I'm going to make bookmarks for these 4 tabs. Okay. So here I go. So let's see what happens here. So here it's calling it Save Tabs. Well, I know what these things are. This is, I'm going to call this Mac Reading. Okay. So when I do this, of course it goes to the wrong place again, but we know how to do this now. We're going to go to the Edit Bookmarks, and we're going to get to the favorites because that's where it went. And then I'm going to get down here to the bottom of the favorites, which is here, this Mac reading, and I'm going to pull this up. I'll pull it way up. So I'm just scrolling while I'm holding the clicker button down. I'm going to park it here. So now, if I close this window up, you see there it is, Mac reading. Now let's see what happens when we use it. If I just click on this, I'm just going to click quickly and let go. Look, it opened up all four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. There's another way to do it. Let's close all these up again. Okay, and I'll even close this one too. Let's just make a whole new window. If I click on this and I hold it, the menu drops down, and now I can say I just want to do Mac Rumors right now instead of all four. The way this is going to work is going to vary depending on the choices you've made here. So if it doesn't work exactly the same way for you as it did for me, it's probably because maybe you don't have this checkbox checked, or maybe you don't have this one checked. They'll do different things, so that's no problem. But it's still really cool that it works this way, that I can click and hold and go to any one of these, or I can just click once and it loads 4 pages for me. Really, really, really nice. Okay, so that's really nice. However, there's another one that's really nice, and that's this. Let's say you go to a bank. So here's a bank my bank. I go to this bank all the time, and here's the web page. I'm looking at this web page now. Doesn't matter that it's here on the end. In fact, I'm gonna close it up. Let's make it be this tab. And what I want to do here is I kind of want to bookmark, but the bookmarks, let's face it, if you look at my bookmarks, I've got so many bookmarks, it's practically the whole World Wide Web has been bookmarked on my machine, which is not as helpful as it really ought to be. It's not what it was meant to be. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this particular tab, this US Bank tab, and I'm going to make it hang out over here and be permanent for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this tab. So I'm clicking on the tab up here, and I'm just going to start pulling left. Okay, here I go. It's already switched places with the one in the middle. Now it's going to switch places with this one. I'm going to keep going, doink. You see it there? Okay. So now what this means, if I open up a new window, and let's say I'm doing my Mac reading, and now I think, oh gee, I need to look at the bank. The bank stuff is right there. You see, there's that U for US Bank. Click on it, and I'm there. So let's say you have 2 banks. So you have the Bank of America. Okay, so I'm going to take that one and just keep pulling over until it turns into just the icon. And so now if I have a whole new page, doesn't matter if I'm starting from scratch or not, I'll quit, and let's come back to Safari, and you'll see that what I did is saved. Okay, here's Bank of America, here's US Bank. So these sorts of tabs are sort of like super mini bookmarks. Really handy. They survive quitting the program. They survive a restart, and you might just park a few things up there. I have an assistant who takes care of the bills for me, and we have all the things that she needs to do are right there, and she's kind of a visual person. She sees the icon, she knows what it is, and it just works out great for her. And she can just switch between them nice and easy. It's like a sort of a secondary tab bar. But anyway, I hope you like that. I like that one a lot myself. Now, here's the thing that happens a lot. Oh my gosh, you've got a website going like this. Maybe you open up a whole bunch of other windows like this. Maybe you open up another window and you're reading. Let's say you go to ESPN and you find some article. You're looking at the soccer section, as we say out here, and you're reading this. Okay, blah blah blah. And you say, oh, this looks like an interesting story. And so you've got all these things going. And what you mean to do is you mean to quit, let's say you've got the notes open too. So I'm just gonna put the notes up front here. Suppose you've got this up here and you mean to quit this, but maybe this looks like it's in the front, but it's not really in the front. Maybe you've got something like this and you do Command Q and you think you're quitting this window, but you actually accidentally Command Q and you've quit all your Safari pages. Oh no, disaster. I hear this all the time. People will say, oh no, I closed them all. What am I gonna do? Well, what you're gonna do is you're gonna start Safari again, and then quickly, you're gonna go up here to history and you're gonna reopen all windows from last session. Okay. And here they all come. Here's all the stuff we were doing. Here's my story about the broken jaw. Here's all those pages I had open. Here's that other page I had open. So remember this one, all right? Reopen all windows from last session. Sometimes what you'll do is you'll, let's say you accidentally close a tab, like let's suppose I close Mac Rumors. I can come back to history and say reopen the last closed tab. Comes right back. So this is nice. You're going to make mistakes, and it's nice when you do make mistakes that there's a way to get out of it. So those are going to save you a lot of time. Now let's look at bookmarks again. So keep in mind that bookmarks are searchable. Now you can look at the bookmarks this way. You can put them over here, and you can look at bookmarks like this. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, they're there. That's nice. And of course, you can actually use them. I can click on a link, and it'll just take me to that page. That's perfectly fine. With faster servers, it'll take me right there. Okay. So, I can use these to move, to move back and forth across different websites. That's great. So, but this is not what I really want to do. What I want to do is I want to hide that, and this button here will hide it. What I really want to do is I want to come here and see the bookmarks in a big way. So I want to edit them, and in here, there's a search box right here. Oh boy. So let's say that maybe there was a website about LEDs or something that I want to look at. Well, if I search for LED, look, they found a whole bunch of stuff that has LED in it. Now, some of these LEDs are like, there's LED light bulbs. That's nice. That's what I was looking for. This was a search. No, it wasn't. It was, yeah, I can go straight there, and we'll see. These guys are closed. Okay, no more website there. But the point is that you can search and you can find the stuff you're looking for. I'm gonna look for battery, because yes, this was a battery from the Home Depot, and hopefully they still have it. Not available, but you still get the idea that the point is that it's searchable. So use this to edit bookmarks and do a search, because you'll never find it plowing through this. I mean, there's just way too many. Oh, so here a better example was, I'm looking for parts for my Mazda car, and here's all these parts, and these are all places I've made bookmarks for. Okay, great. Well, bookmarks are great, but sometimes you're not thinking enough ahead of time to make a bookmark. So what you've done instead is you went for a page, and then you forgot to bookmark it, and now you want to look at your history. So I can show the history, and that too is searchable. So let's look here. So if I look here, you saw that when I looked at, let me go back here, look at bookmarks. If I look at bookmarks and I search for Mazda, I have, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7, 8, well, it tells me right here, I could read. 8 matches for the word Mazda in my bookmarks, but I know I've looked at a lot more pages. It's an old car, and I have to look really hard to find parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the history and say, where have I been? If I look at show all history, and I search here and I look for Mazda, now I find 574 matches. That's a lot of matches. So these are web pages I've been to that have the word Mazda in them, and I can click on any one of them, like this one, and it's a double click, but here I go, and here I am. So remember that the history is searchable. Now let's open up a bunch of tabs here, and I'm going to open up a whole bunch more tabs. Now a lot of times some people have hundreds of tabs going. It's almost a show-off move to say how many tabs you've got. And what I'm gonna do to open up a lot of tabs is I'm gonna open up one new one, and I'm just gonna do a search. I'm gonna look for Chinese food, since as you can see it's my lunchtime. And so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just hit Command, and I'm gonna click, click, click. I'll read about these things later. But the thing I'm trying to do here is get a lot of tabs going. Okay, well, this is not really practical to go like this and search by hand, by eye. So we don't do it that way. What we do is we use this button in the top right corner, which shows me all the tabs. This is all the stuff that I'm doing, that I've got going right now, but it's searchable too. So if in this big clutter of tabs, if what I was really looking for was Mac Rumors, I can just type MACR, and there I am, and then I can click on this one, and that comes to the front. So just remember, this is not just a visual thing that you're going to scroll through, which is actually kind of hard. You're going to search it with this search box. Okay, so that's going to make things really easy for you if you've got a lot of tabs going. Okay, now let's round the turn here. Okay, so I've done. Oh yeah, let's look at extensions. I'm gonna talk about these guys up at the top. So extensions were kind of Wild West. There were no rules. Extensions could do a lot of things, like they could change the way a website looked. They could hide ads, and they could track you. Okay, that's one of the things they could do, and that was bad. So what Apple's done is they've made extensions only be available through the App Store, but you can get them here. You can go to Safari Extensions, and you can search for things. And these are all, if I had done this right, sorry, I just misclicked. If I look at extensions here, these are all extensions. And you see across the top, they say Safari Extensions. And all these guys can do a little something for you. They add a little feature to Safari. So here's the one I like, Wiper, and they tell you how it works. It's just like buying an app from the App Store. And if you were to scroll down here, you can see reviews, blah blah blah, and that this does not link anything back to you, so it's a nice thing. Okay, let's go back. Let's look at some other ones. This one, Honey. So Honey is an an extension that watches what you're buying, especially if you go to big places like Amazon or maybe even eBay. And when you're buying things, they will find those coupon codes for you. So if you want to find those discount codes, Honey finds them for you. And so when you look at your Mac, when Honey's installed, you would think you would go here, but you go here to Preferences, and then you go to Extensions. Here's Honey. Now PayPal bought Honey because Honey makes money, even though Honey is free. The reason it's free is because in order for them to know which website you're on to apply the proper coupons, they have to know which website you're on. So that means they're tracking you, and they know what you're buying, okay? And so they can sell this information, and they make their money that way. Well, we're being tracked all over the place anyway. I don't want to just give up and say it's a losing battle, but it is a losing battle. So as long as you're being tracked, you may as well be tracked by somebody that you know and you may as well get something out of it, which is the automatic coupons. So that's what PayPal Honey does. There are others. This is another one. Capital One Shopping does the same sort of thing. They'll even tell you if you're buying something at Amazon that it's cheaper to buy it somewhere else, and they even factor in the shipping. So it's again, yeah, you're being tracked, but you're probably being tracked more ways than you know. At least you get something out of these. Okay, so you can always turn them off. You can just uncheck the box. You can uninstall them and get rid of them. Now, what you want to make sure is that if you go to, remember, this is just the Safari preferences, and we went way over here to extensions. You want to make sure that you know what's checked, that you asked for those things. Okay, some of these things are bogus, like this one. This one's okay, and this one's okay too. These both come from Parallel Toolbox, but there are other things that are better. So just make sure that you don't see something in there that doesn't seem to belong. Now, one reason to use Safari is it's really hard to get something in there that doesn't belong, because extensions have to go through the App Store vetting process, which means that they're checked to make sure that they're doing what they say they're doing. If you're using Chrome, and of course most of the stuff I'm talking about today is specific to Safari, but when you're using Chrome, they don't have this kind of vetting. On Chrome, their extensions is total Wild West. And so you remember last week or the week before, there was a whole big hullabaloo about a weak point in Apple's system on the iPhone and in Safari on the Mac. Well, listen, there are maybe hundreds of weak points in Chrome, whether it's on the Mac or the PC, and partly it's because their extensions are not vetted. And so you might see an extension that's called something like maybe Package Tracker, and it's supposed to tell you where your UPS package is or where your Amazon package is. But instead what it's really doing is it's tracking everything you do, and it's reading your address book, and it's sending out emails with junk links in them. So watch out for Chrome in that regard. Okay, so this is an interesting extension. This one called Downy. What Downy does is it will download a YouTube video. So sometimes you go to YouTube, you see a video, and you think, gee, I wish I really had this video. I want to play this, or I want to edit this thing. I could use this in a presentation. And Downy lets you do this. This is not free. You got to pay for this, but it's it's magic. If that's what you want to do, there's nothing like it. So extensions are adding features to Safari, and as long as you know what they're doing, that's great. So nobody can install one without you typing in your password. So that's good. All right, let's look at a couple other things. So, oh yes, one of my favorites. Oh, my all-time favorite. Passwords. Okay, look, we got a lot of passwords out there. I'm going to show you where your passwords for these websites are stored. You know that sometimes you go to a website, and by some miracle it fills in. Well, how does it know what to fill in? And this is even without you using a password manager like 1Password or LastPass or you name it. So built into Safari is a connection to the keychain. And if your iCloud settings are set up to share that keychain, then your phone will tap into those keychain passwords and they'll stay in sync. So it's really nice that way. So let's look at the passwords part. So first thing you have to do, if you're trying to get into your passwords, you have to provide the user password for your machine. This keeps prying eyes out of your passwords, because once this is unlocked, all of your passwords are potentially exposed to the person sitting in front of the machine, not exposed to the internet, but exposed to someone looking. So, if you have, roommates or grandkids or a housekeeper or somebody that you think they might accidentally wake up your machine and they might accidentally be curious about your passwords, they're not going to get in there because it's going to be locked. So they're always locked. So I'm going to unlock it now. Now, if you had you have a keyboard like I do here with the Touch ID button, because this is a MacBook Pro with an M1 chip, I can just lay my finger on here and unlock it. So I've done that. Okay, so now they're unlocked. Now, I'm going to scroll down. I made a phony website or a phony login here, so I don't mind that you know what it is. So I think it was this Academy Sports. So I can search. I can do a search up here. That's nice. I can scroll through like this, and these are alphabetical. Although it's not always alphabetical. They're sort of in groups. So here's another set of A's here. This is all the A's. Eventually you get them in groups. So I'm going to look at Academy again here. So when we find it, and searching is better. Like you should take advantage of the search. But I know I'm so close now, and I'm stubborn too. So we're just going to do it. Okay. So when you click on one of these, you can see what the username was that you used, and you can see what the password is. Now, I'm not going to click on that password, but if you, on your Mac, if you click on one of those passwords, it'll show you your password, reveal it. And so that's very nice. So in case you wonder what your passwords are, that's how you know. All right. So if you needed to send the password to somebody, I could share it. If you wanted to change it, you could hit edit, and you could change it. Like maybe the website you really want to go to is academy.com/sales or specials or discounts or something. Fine, you can change that. But anyway, the password's up there. I'm not going to even poke at it for a second because I know you're recording this and you guys could stop and see this password. So, and I don't want to go through the trouble of changing it after that. All right. Not that I don't trust all of you, but this will probably go on the internet somewhere and someone's going to find it, and don't be silly. So anyway, passwords, Yahoo. We have, we can export your passwords. So let's say you're setting up a password manager like 1Password, and you want to import them. You want to import what you've got here already. Well, I could click here, I could export them, and then I could open up 1Password and import them in. So that's nice. Okay, so we'll just put that part away. I'm going to look at a couple more things in the preferences here. All right, let's look at, we're going to look at websites here. Okay, so here, this list on the right is going to change depending on what I've got open right now. So I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm going to let's close this window here. I'll close this window here, and I'm going to close this window here. And now I'll open up just one window if I can find it. Let's open up one window here. Here we go. Whoops, wrong window. That's the handout. Here's the window I want. Okay, so let's say I'm reading just one web page right now. If I go back there to the preferences again, you'll see this list is quite a bit shorter. The reason Bank of America and US Bank are still there is because they're still up here. Remember up there in those little mini tabs? What this is showing us is for these websites, for these three, is it automatically going to use Reader? And no, it's not. But for some other websites that I've set up already, I've said, yeah, for ESPN, I want it to be on. For LA Times, I want it to be on. And for this 1MinuteMacMan.com, I said, no, it's always going to be off. Let's look at content blockers. You can say, and also, by the way, you can say when visiting other websites, by default, it's off until you turn it on. Content blockers, we're talking about things like Wiper. You can say by default, it's on. I'm going to scroll down here a few. These are web pages that I've actually turned it on or off before. And the reason you need to know about this kind of stuff is sometimes you can go to a web page. So I'm going to go to I'm going to go to LA Times again. And let's say it's going to be hot out here. So I'm going to click this this story, and it changed it to reader right away. I can see from this black part that it's reader. Sometimes what's going to happen, there's good news, there's bad news. The good news here is that sometimes reader will get you around kind of a block. Let me show you an example here. I'm going to put a block. Then I'm going to look at, I'm looking for Wall Street Journal. So the Wall Street Journal lets you read the home page, and then if I do this, they want me to subscribe. Okay, you see here, I can't read this article. I can't get past this. I can't win. I guess I can read an inch at a time. But if I went up here, I said, reader, looky here. I beat him, didn't I? I win. So without the reader, I've got this big thing saying you need to sign in, you need to pay. But with the reader, I'm sure they're not happy about this, and I'm probably going to be punished, you know, someday if I'm lucky enough to go that way. I might be punished and be sent back down that way for telling you how to cheat a little bit. But this is sometimes you just want to read one little web page and you don't want to sign up for a subscription, and so the reader is going to get you through that. Okay, so what I wanted to do though is I wanted to show you that you can tell Safari that by default we want to have ad blockers on. That's great, but let's say you went to a web page and it said, hey, we see you're using an ad blocker, please turn it off. Well, in that case, what you'd have to do is you'd come here and look at the settings for that site, and you would say, okay, don't use the content blockers. Okay, fine, I'll look at your ads. All right, because sometimes you'll be prevented from going further on the site. Now, also sometimes there'll be a part of the site that needs to do something like a pop-up. Maybe it's something where you're supposed to log in, and maybe it's like a shopping cart thing and it just doesn't work. Well, sometimes what people do is they'll turn to Chrome, because Chrome doesn't have these sort of safety features. But the other thing you could do with Safari is you can just say, well, okay, I'll go here and I'll just say, when it says content blockers, we're not just talking about ads, we're talking about pop-ups too. We can just say, it's okay, go ahead. We'll just let you run your page the way you need to. Sometimes the content you're blocking is good content. So sometimes you're just going to turn that off. Knowing where that is the key. And so it's on a website by website basis, like we said before, it's right here. Okay. So let's see what else we have. Okay, let's show you some simple things now. If you're automatically seeing, you go to a web page and maybe they've got a movie on it or a little news clip, and it automatically starts playing and it's loud, it's annoying. In these settings here, so under websites, you go here, autoplay. You can say, look, don't automatically play stuff. It's gonna be loud and noisy. I'm gonna say stop it. Okay, I don't want to hear it if it's got sound. I don't mind if I see the video playing, but I don't want to hear it unless you say you do. Okay, so now let's just do a couple of things that are sort of fun. I'm going to look. Let's say you go to our Mac Rumors site. Let's do it here. I'll click and say we're looking at this. I'll make this big like this, and let's say there's a picture that you're interested in. Okay, so this, oh my gosh, this is the old iPhones. Let's say you want this picture. You want to do something with it. Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. I can click on it, and if I kind of hold it, so I've clicked and I'm still pressing down, and now I'm just going to drag it away and park it out here on the desktop. Okay? And if I shove this aside, it's here. I swear, it's in these. In fact, here it is. If I pop that open, there it is. So dragging a picture off works. That's a good way to do it. Another way to do it is to control click on the picture and I can say, I could copy the image. What could I do with that then? Well, maybe I want to give a presentation about the iPhone 14. I don't really need the picture permanently. I just need to copy it because maybe I'm going to go to Keynote. Let's say I'm going to be at Keynote and I'm going to make a new presentation here in Keynote. Okay, so here's Keynote. I'm going to say, well, I'm just going to make something like this, and I'm going to say I need to paste this picture in. So remember, I copied it a long time ago. I can just paste it, and I've got the picture. So that's a nice thing to be able to do, that you can just control click. But you got a lot of other options here too. I can save it with a name instead of just dragging it to the desktop. Put it where I want to put it. I can add it to photos. I can make it my desktop picture. Like right now my desktop picture is just solid black. I did that so it would be not a distraction, but if I wanted to, I could make this be my desktop picture. And if I quit Safari and I look behind it here, there it is. There's that picture, right? So that's nice. Okay, so just as an aside, you see how I've sort of cleaned up my desktop. This is being cleaned up because the desktop has this option to use stacks. If I wasn't using stacks, it would look more like this. Okay. Hard to find stuff this way. So if you use stacks, then it groups things. And in this case, it's grouping them by what kind of thing it is: applications, documents, images, and so on. When you want to see all those images, I click and they all pop out and they all pop back. You can also view things, by the way, by, say, the date that you last used them. So then you can see all the stuff you looked at today, all the stuff you did in the last week, and so on. So that could be handy when you're trying to find stuff. Okay, let's get back to Safari though. That's the main event. I guess I quit Safari, didn't I? So let's bring that up. And here it is. And let's see what else I had on my list. Okay, I think that's what I have. So it's good time for questions. We've got about 15-20 minutes of questions if we've got them. Who's got one? Got to be one. Anybody?
Somebody must have a question. Feel free to unmute.
I'd like to ask a question, Christian.
Thank you.
I usually use Safari in the private mode. Which do you recommend?
Well, it depends. If you use private mode, then your history is not saved, and that can be detrimental to you, because then when you go to search history here, you can't find it because the work you did is not going to be tracked.
Okay.
This is being tracked by Apple on your machine, right? It's not going to them. It's being done. It's being tracked. Actually, it's mostly for your own good. If you go to a website, like we've gone to a bunch of websites today. We went to ESPN. If I go back to ESPN, they will know that I went to certain. I'm gonna let me do a search again. I'm gonna look for the best. I'm gonna look for Mexican food again. When I go like this, and I come down here, because private browsing was not on, these links are purple. They show me that I've been there before. They know that I visited, so I don't need to go look at those anymore. I would look at some other ones. So there's an advantage there to you. Now, there are reasons to do private browsing. One reason would be, let's say you share a Mac with somebody, and let's say you're shopping for Christmas gifts, and you don't want people to see in the history what you might be buying, right? Or maybe you're planning a surprise party for your favorite Mac and iPhone consultant, and you don't want him to know. Well, they wouldn't know because they wouldn't be in the history. So generally, I think private browsing is less good than regular browsing. Okay, so that's what I think. Good question. Nice question.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay, good. And you know, by the way, if you want privacy, see, we know if I do a search up here, Google knows that I did a search for Mexican food. And you know, Google's in the business of selling ads, right? They really sell ads. They give us all this stuff for free, but many of the ads that we've seen today, like when we looked at NewYorkTimes.com, this ad was placed. This ad was provided by Google. And all the New York Times did is say, you're allowed to place an ad here. Put anything you want in there. Well, eventually they're going to put Mexican restaurant ads in there for me because they know I've looked for them. And so this is where Google makes their money. Well, if you don't want to be using a search engine that tracks you and makes money off you, then the one to use is called Duckduckgo. And you can, of course, go there. You can go there directly if you want. And you can do your searches here, and they'll tell you all about it. But so if I do Mexican restaurants, Mexican food near me, that's easier. If I do that, they are not going to get any information out of this that they can sell. They just don't. This tells you all about what they do and what they don't do. And if we wanted to use DuckDuckGo as the search engine, I could go here to preferences. I could go here to search. I could say, let's just use DuckDuckGo all the time. Now, there's trade-offs there. DuckDuckGo is nice. They don't track you. Good. But Google's bigger. There's more stuff there. Okay, so that's you know, there's a trade-off. But DuckDuckGo is really nice. They're better all the time. They actually get their search results from Bing, but they do not track you. Bing would track you. These guys don't track you. So they do run ads. That's an ad, but that's how they make their money. They do not make their money by selling information about you. So that's sort of a private browsing kind of thing. It's not quite the same, but you get the idea. Okay, so now if I go to do a search up here any other time, if I look for Mac Expert, it's searching DuckDuckGo now. You still have to type, right? So there you go. And if I do this, you can see why I prefer Google in this regard, because they know about me. If I said Mac Expert Los Angeles, maybe they'd know me. Be nice. Make me look good, guys. Maybe on page 2, but anyway, that's not the worst thing that's ever happened. But see, Google knows about me because I guess Google looked harder. All right, so that's a privacy related thing too. All right, what else? Oh, I'll show you what else. What? Oh, hi, Chris, you had a question. I see you there.
Yeah, I've got a question. You kind of answered it in one way, but I have a problem with my many Open Safari windows and the many Safari tabs in those windows.
Okay.
I have a window for each topic that I'm researching at that time. Mm-hmm. Now, you've explained very well that you can save those individual websites in a bookmark folder.
Yes, that's nice, huh?
But that takes quite a lot of time. Is there any way that I can name a window? Is there yet? I mean, something Apple certainly could do, so that I've got all my windows open and I can see the names, because otherwise it takes me quite a long time trying to find a particular.
I see. Yeah, because see, there is no name in these things, right? There's no name bar. No. So there's no title bar. So
the only way I can do it really is to save them in folders.
Yeah, you could, and of course, one other thing you can do is I'm going to control click on this, and I'm going to say, you can make tab groups. Now, I've not used a lot of tab groups. Tab groups are like sets of like this. Let's say this. Here's a tab. I've made this. This page has these tabs. Tab groups are sort of they're not permanent. Okay, so if I make this a tab group, I can do this. but I don't do this very often, so I'm going to probably botch it. See if I can find a new tab group here. Here I go. So I say new tab group. So I'm going to call this, see I can name it. I'm going to call this Mac stuff, okay? And then I'm going to go, let's go make, I'll make another web page here. And let's make this one, this is going to be Mexican restaurants, all right? So I'm going to do another search. And so what we'll see here is I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna open up a bunch of restaurants. Oh, just it's not really a good way to go, but here I go. I've opened a bunch of things, and I can say, let's save those things also as a new tab group with those tabs.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good.
Okay, so now I'm gonna say Mexican food, and so now, with this showing, see hidden showing, and now I could show all the Mac stuff, those 4 tabs. It's not really changing windows, but it's changing the tabs within a window. So I really don't need this one open anymore, right? Right, so I can just do this and this. Now, if I quit, let's just see what happens when we quit. And let's bring Safari forward again. That's a really great question. I'm gonna bring this page over here. Okay, here's this page, and oh look, it's still here. So they want to use my location because they want to get me food that's near me. But so that might help you a little bit.
Yes, that helps. Now, but I didn't quite see how you set it up in the first place.
Okay, well the first thing you do, let's just make a whole new. Here's a new window,
Yeah.
and we're gonna put some tabs in here. So I'm gonna go to. We'll go to christianboyce.com. That's a good website. I'm going to make another tab here.
Yeah, is how do you convert it into?
Coming right up. Let me give you the example here. So I'm going to do another website, iPhone in a minute. It's another one I write, and here's do one more. This is the 1 Minute Mac Man. Okay, so now I've got 3 tabs, right?
Yeah.
And here I'm going to go to File and say, make me a tab group.
Okay.
When I do that, that tab group, it pops open, and I'm gonna call this C Boyce Sites because that's my stuff. So now I've got the Mexican food, the Mac stuff, my websites, which I can quickly flip through. So does that explain how to do it?
Yeah, except when I go to Safari, it doesn't have that.
Well, this would have worked.
Safari or File.
It's under File. It should be. You have to have multiple pages open.
Still doesn't show it.
Or multiple tabs open, and then it's here, tab group. Now this is already in a tab group, so it's not going to let me do it. But I'll tell you what, if you still can't figure it out after the meeting, send me an email, and we'll work it out together. All right?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry to take up your time.
It's a good question. Okay, we can take other questions. What else we got? Oh, I'm going to show you one more thing. Let's say you're reading a website like this, and you start. Let's say you do a search. All right, I'm going to do a search on this site. I come here and I'm going to say, well, tell me something about calendars. And so I search. Okay, and then you say, oh, this looks interesting. I'll read this. And so you read it, and then you think, oh, you know what? I'm gonna read this. And then you think, oh, I want to read. I'll read this. Let's read about this. Well, now you want to get back to where you started. The normal person would hit this to go back, right? Back or forth. But if you click and hold it, you see the path all the way back. Just click and hold. How long did it take me to see that? But there it is. Click and hold, and you're just back. Okay. How nice is that? It looks like up here, oh my goodness, there's a little pointy arrow going down here. I can go to Mexican food right there. Goodness gracious. I didn't know that was there. It's probably not there until you have tab groups. All right, I'm gonna do more questions. I have more, but let's get another question. Okay, good. No question. I'm gonna show you what else I would do.
There's
Yeah.
one question.
Good.
Yeah, I have a question.
Great.
Can I just say, I just put something in the chat box about, excuse me, I've used DuckDuckGo within Safari and Firefox for years and years. And I find it really helpful because apart from not wanting to be tracked, it cuts down these sort of overwhelming amount of information that's available. But I just wondered, what do you think about Firefox?
Well, what do I think? Sometimes I mean, if you like the way it looks, then that's fine. I mean, it's showing the same web page. Is this like watching, you want to watch television on a Sony TV or an LG TV? They're still showing the same programming. So it's pretty much a matter of taste, but I do think that when you can use Safari, you should, because it's so well integrated, not just with the system on the Mac, but it's also integrated with the iPhone and the iPad so that you can do things like Icloud Tabs. Now, if you decide that you want to use something other than Safari, you need to tell the system that I want to do this. When, let's say you get an email from somebody and there's a link and you click it, it takes you to Safari, unless you've told it here in the system preferences under general, you can say, well, I really want to use Firefox. And that means if you get a link in an email and you click it, it would open Firefox. Now, I can't imagine you'd be doing that after this 90-minute sales pitch for Safari. But okay, now you know. All right, so that's that. Oh yeah, so that's all I have on that. But
I have an observation.
Nothing wrong with Firefox. Okay, yes.
Thank you.
I have an observation. Years ago, when we got this favorites folder tab bar first, it was pointed out you could put folders into it, and you could label these with useful names like bank or airlines, and put a collection of airlines or bank accounts, whatever. And you could make the space even better if you change the name bank to a $sign if you're abroad, or a pound if you're in the UK. You can put a little aeroplane in for the flights instead of it.
Yes, I see.
And I have a full favorites bar which is full of these icons, and it saves space enormously, and it makes tabs and tab groups seem almost redundant.
That's interesting. Yes, you would put it here. You would edit this. You'd rename it and maybe put in. Let's see if I can bring up a picture. I'll put in a.
Yeah, it takes a
For
while.
no reason at all. I'll put
to
a cup of coffee in it. Okay, there's my cup of coffee, and because I'm going to read it while I'm drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, how interesting! That's what a great idea. Then it's the same stuff. There it is. Well, how interesting is that? That's great. That's you may be signing up yourself for giving a class sometime soon.
Not likely.
All right, really good. Anything else? I have maybe one more thing. When you want to send a web page to somebody, it used to be that you would go here and you might copy it like this, then you'd go to your mail app and you'd paste it, but it sure is a lot easier if you do this. You get the share button. So it's one way to make a bookmark, but I can email this page. Now, these people down here are people that I emailed lately, and they would be pre-addressed. So if I wanted to send this to my friend Tom, I can just do this, and my mail app will come up, even though it's not open right now. It's gonna launch, which it did, and now we're just waiting for mail to come up. Even though I've got an M1 machine, there's still too much mail. Let's face it. I know it's coming, but anyway, this is a good button here. I could also have text messaged it to somebody. I could have those two things probably the best. But see here, I could text message it to someone if I wanted, and here it is to Tom. Okay, so it's created an email. It's put the link in. All I need to do is say, write a little message here and say, check this out or something like that. So anyway, this sharing button is dynamite, so you should use this all the time.
It's not uncommon for mail to open its app without the window. And so I've learned the Apple Zero to bring up the window.
Yes, yeah, that can, if I don't have, if I didn't have a window open when I closed it, it would be that way.
But when you
Right.
specifically send something to mail, you do expect it to open up with a window all set up to go. You don't
Well,
expect to
it's
be
a lot
showing
quicker
up. It does happen.
If it's already running, if mail's running, then this is super quick. Okay, so we've
We've
about hit
got-
our limit on the time. Paul, how do you shut down your meeting here?
Yeah, well, if there's, I think there's one more person with a raised hand, and then perhaps,
Oh, good.
which is Sue Clark. If you'd like to,
Go ahead,
Um,
Sue.
Hi, I was just going to ask the question that someone else asked in the chat about Firefox. Does Firefox block bad extensions like Safari does, or is it more like Google Chrome?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's nice. It certainly is nice that Safari blocks bad extensions. Any given day, if you did a Google search today, if you just look for malware Chrome extensions, I just read a story about this today.
Mhm.
And let's see. Yeah, see, like 5 popular Chrome extensions from one day ago. These are all bad. So here's from today. Bad Chrome extensions affecting 1.4 million users. You're never going to see that from Apple. I mean, 5 bad ones. These are only the ones they know about. I mean, that's only the ones that these guys know about. Plenty of others. So, yeah, the only trouble with Firefox is that it doesn't have the muscle behind it that Safari and Chrome do. I mean, Safari's got a big team, and Chrome's got a big team too. And Firefox doesn't, so it's a little slower to update. Certainly not as well integrated. I see a hand up there, Susan. We take one more question, Paul.
if that's something to do.
I'm okay.
It's a comment.
Okay.
I put it in the chat. Yesterday, I tried to buy a washing machine on Safari, and I had a lot of trouble because it wanted to send it to me in black. And I called the company. The company did not understand my problem, but it turned out that I had to use Firefox. Only Firefox gave me the choice between black and white. And there's no way to know when Safari is not presenting the page properly.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's why we keep these other browsers around. I mean, I have Firefox installed here, and I have Chrome installed here. I probably have some other ones too. Let me just address one other question. Someone's asking for Downey. If you go to Downey here, don't do this soft tonic business. But if this is the website, Charlie Monroe makes it, and when you download it, it also includes an extension which is tied to the app itself. So you don't just go and get the extension, you get the app, which you actually never use, and you get the extension which just triggers the app. So this one's a little bit different than the usual extension thing. So anyway, here's where it is. This is the one. There's a free trial here, and it's magic. Okay, good.
That's my question.
Now, listen, I'm glad to take other questions by email, remind me where we met, when you send it, because I get a lot of email, and I'll try to help you out as I can. I mean, if it turns into something where we'll both know if it's something that's going to take a long time, then we're going to talk about a professional arrangement. But otherwise, I'm glad to help you with little bitty things, okay, without a charge. So don't be shy. This is what I do, is help people. It's just that a lot of people that I help pay. So I'm glad to help user groups as much as I can.
That's
Okay.
great, Christian. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, you're very welcome, and I hope to see you
Thank you
again.
very much.
Things
Thank
going
you.
to change a little bit in a couple weeks when Ventura comes out, but it's going to be close, right? It won't be too different. So, all right.
Thanks a lot.
Good. I hope I can
Really
come back
good.
and we'll
Thank
do
you.
some more. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
It's
Bye.
good. Thank
Great
you.
day.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Great meeting.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, Christian. It's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Good meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely meeting.
Really useful stuff. Bye now.
Thanks, Christian. That was very, very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody, and see you in a month's time.
Cheers,
Yeah,
Mark.
good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me. I'd be glad to come back. I've only been doing this for 30, I don't know how many years,
Yeah.
full time since 91. So I have learned a couple of things. So anyway,
It's been really brilliant. I've learned
call
so
on me
much
when you need me.
tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
go to work.
Bye.
Thanks for your help, Paul. Made
Yeah,
it
thank you very
better.
much.
Okay, adios.